Just in time for the holidays, a controversial request raising eyebrows on the West Coast. Malibu officials pressuring one church to stop feeding the homeless in the area because they are increasing homelessness. So is the government stepping too far, forcing Christians to ignore their convictions? Here now to react is Texas comedian and blogger Chad Prather and Army veteran and the Daily Rants guy Graham Allen. Thank you both for joining us this morning.
Good morning.
What's your initial reaction when you heard about this?
Well, it's kind of an interesting story. Isn't this a place that wants to be a sanctuary city? They want to allow the refugees in, and they want to bring people. And so now they're going to tell the churches, no, you can't even have the homeless that belong here legally. You can't have them. And so at what point in time does a church stop and say, no, this is what we're going to do?
This is what we do.
We're not going to get dictated to by the government. At what point does the government come in and say, okay, we want you to stop saying this, or we want you to stop doing this? And obviously that's what they're doing.
Graham, your reaction?
Well, how amazing is it that we're having these same conversations all the time? It's one thing to be the trending topic of things. Everybody wants to help. Everybody wants to do community service. Everybody wants illegal immigration and things like this to come in, and nobody wants to interfere. But when it comes to your communities, your front doors, all of a sudden the narrative changes, right? Malibu is one of the top 50th richest cities in America, things like that. It's not a good look for them at that point.
So Malibu has a population of about 1,300, roughly 180 homeless residents. The problem is they have no shelter or housing for them. That's what we're being told. And so this all started because allegedly the city mayor is the one who asked the church to stop doing this. And we actually have a quote here from the mayor who says, no, they were never formally asked to stop feeding the homeless. Not at all. We got to bring the people together because this is something that the city is compassionate about. Maybe we need to do it in a different location. So I guess my question to you guys is, do you think people would be okay with it if there were another solution, perhaps, or should it stay at the church?
He went on to say, and I'm summarizing, but he went on to say it's not that we have a problem with them feeding the homeless. It's what do you do with the homeless after you're done feeding them, because they're going to hang around in town. I have the solution. Barbara Streisand has a home that's 11,000 square feet. She's got about 10 bedrooms and 11 bathrooms.
Does she know you're offering her home?
Oh, it doesn't matter. She's already said she wants to give the refugees a place to live and a place like that. So why not extend it to the homeless? And I've said this over and over in the years. When I go out to Hollywood, when I go out to L.A., and I see the homeless laying there on the street in the shadow of mansions that are up on the hills, how much at some point do you stop and say there's a little bit of hypocrisy going on here?
Oh, it's complete hypocrisy. Complete hypocrisy. Why would it not be, right? It goes along with the overall problem that we have this day in America, that everyone wants to be a part of the topic of conversation, but when it comes down to the actual real solutions that have to take place for the betterment of society and things like that, nobody really wants to do it.
So, Graham, you're the Daily Rants guy. You like to get things off your chest. What do you want to get off your chest about this? And do you have perhaps a solution that would work?
I would. Well, one, Chad's solution was fantastic right off the bat. But the biggest thing I would say is that the biggest thing that I talk about all the time is the problem that I feel with America now is everyone forgets what it really means to accomplish what needs to be accomplished. We have a homeless community issue in America. If you don't think we do, then you're not paying attention.
It's not just in Malibu, it's everywhere.
It's everywhere. So what is the solution? The solution is to allow your churches, allow your community outreach programs, all the above, to do what they do. Oh, boo-hoo, you've got a larger homeless community visible to you in your, in your Ferraris and things that you're driving down the street.
And some may argue, though, and this isn't my opinion, I'm just, playing devil's advocate. Some may argue that feeding them isn't enough because you feed them and then where do they go, right? They're still on the streets. So what do you do about that?
That's true. Well, that comes into the longer play solutions. Your social working communities, all of the above, the outreach center, the job community centers, things like that. A lot of these veterans, a lot of these homeless community people are veterans, people that actually have skills that can be used, all of the above. The implementation of them back into regular society, regular working societies, etc. It's a long-term job. But to be upset because there is a more visible homeless population in your area and we should just wash it away and be done with it, that's the wrong answer.
And so much of what's happening in society, our ills that we see culturally, is because the church is no longer doing its job that it's supposed to do. How much more difficult is it when the government steps in and says, we don't want you to do your job? So I think they have to take a step back and say, you don't want to deal with them, we understand, but the church does, so let them do their job.
All right. You have the Star-Spangled tour coming up.
Yeah,
the Banter tour coming up.
Yeah. I'm in Kansas City on Thursday night, and then I've got some shows coming up in Boise and Spokane the first week in December, and then we're all over the country. I am. Billings, Milwaukee, Modesto, California, all kind of stuff going on. But you got to listen to the Chad Prather Show. That's where all of the solutions are on the podcast. In fact, we're gonna tape one today, and we're gonna solve all the world's problems.
Oh,
we might even talk about Barbara Streisand.
Okay.
We'll talk about Barbara Streisand.
Chad Prather, thank you for joining us. Graham Allen, thank you for joining us, and thank you for your service.